So, good evening, everyone. And as you can see, the image on the screen is from this. Well, it is not from the movie itself, but is based on the movie Grave of the Fireflies. Okay, Grave of the Fireflies. It's an old Japanese movie which was produced by Studio Ghibli, and do watch it whenever you get time. Okay, it deals with the story of yeah, I have shared this image in Writers Cafe. So this story deals with the struggles of uh, two siblings. Okay, this boy and his little sister during World War II, right? So it's a heart wrenching movie, and do watch it because it is something that is going to engage you for a long time, even when you are done with watching it. And of course, it is a cinematic experience. It will ensure that you won't see at things with one perspective, because when we talk about the great wars or the second war, I mean the first world war and the second world war, we only think of these wars as heroes versus villains, but there are many sides to it. I'm not saying genocide on any level is good, but what I'm saying is that many a times there were many people who were forced to go and fight, who probably never wanted to. Men who had families, women who had families, because women were also involved in the war in one way or the other. They were the nursing staff, they used to do the management and all, production. So in a way, men and women both suffered even when they didn't want to. So the story Grave of the Fireflies is about these two kids. The brother who's not old enough. He's what? I don't remember his exact age, but probably 11, 12, something like that. And his little sister, who's a literal toddler, who's like she's the cutest thing in the movie, and probably one of the cutest characters I've ever seen in any movie or in any form of fiction. Okay, do watch this. Shadow is saying that he has used this image for a story. Of course, he's implying the writing exercises that we tend to do in Writers Cafe. स्नेहा सिंह मेरे को भी देखना था, मेरे एब्सेंस में ही सब करना रहता है सबको, तो नहीं नहीं नहीं, वी हैव नॉट वॉच्ड द मूवी. मैं कह रहा हूँ कि लाइक वी हैव वॉच्ड इट इन आवर ओन टाइम, जैसे मैंने पहले देखा था या ऐसा कुछ, बट दिस इमेज इज फ्रॉम दैट मूवी. Yes, one. It was shared in the Writers Cafe. Uh, Swan had written the Ayat Wali poem. I don't remember if he had written the Ayat Wali poem on this, but I remember that he had written a Ayat Wali poem. She's referring to camera. Okay, okay, okay. My bad, my bad. Yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure you could see. I'm pretty sure you'll see Octi and Shadow once again. They are two pretty boys. Shadow Berlin is saying उनको सबको देखना था. Right, right, right. Sneh is saying not movie, the camera thing. Suna ने लिखा है and you loved it too. Right, 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 right. Okay then. So Bhadra has chosen. Bhadra had chosen. Yeah, this is being recorded. No problem. So Bhadra had chosen this particular image to write about. Okay. It's just that she forgot to attach it to the document, and having done that, we don't have the image with the entry, but I wanted you guys to know that this is the image on the basis of which Bhadra has written the thing, the piece, the write up that we are going to read tonight. Okay. Okay, so let me share the write up itself. Just a second, guys. Uh, yeah, I think I have downloaded it, but I forgot to open it. Yeah, okay. Just Do let me know if the screen is visible. Okay. I think it is visible. Okay. Thank you, Sneha. Thank you. So we'll start. Do correct me if I'm butchering any word, but this word in Hindi and Bengali it is called Ashar, Asar or Ashar. But I think it is the same month, but the pronunciation would be different,
Yes, 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 yes.
right? How do you pronounce it, Bhadra?
Same thing,
Uh,
Āṣāḍha.
Ashara, right? Ashara. Okay, okay, okay. It was the month of Ashara, and the evening was unlike the other evenings. There was, by the way, just a tidbit. Ashara or Ashad is the month when rain falls, okay? And it apparently, in Bengali culture, it is also believed that since Bengal has a lot of folklore and a culture for storytelling, it is believed that Ashad is the month when ghost stories taste the best. And that is why uh, another term for ghost stories in Bengali is आषाढ़े गल्पो. गल्पो मतलब कहानी और आषाढ़े मतलब जो आषाढ़ के महीने में सुनाई जाए. So just a tidbit, but nevertheless, the title of the piece submitted by Bhadra is an Ashara evening. It was the month of Ashara, and the evening was unlike the other evenings. There was no difference that was noticeable at first sight. The sun casting his gleam over the river, which shimmered shyly. The wind gently blew, carrying and disturbing the scent of freshly bloomed flowers, weaving in and out of the trees. The blue sky and the heavens above were reflected clearly by the crystal water. But something that constituted the major chunk of evenings was amiss. Maybe the man thought, raising his head a bit from the floor, glancing at his surroundings. It was the lack of activity. Normally, the evenings were full of life, birds flocking noisily to their nests, calling out to each other, women shouting at their children to return home after tiring themselves on the ground, motorboats revving up, the sound of fishermen on the river. Amidst all this chaos, there existed a certain calmness that enveloped the wooden house by the river, which never allowed the man to spend his days in elsewhere. Baba, the girl called, breaking the spell and his train of thought. She was sitting on a swing on her favorite tree, dangling her tiny feet down. Who lives there? She pointed at the mountains that lined the other bank of the river, behind which the sun was rapidly sinking. The sun, of course. The sun, of course, he replied confidently. The sun? A pinch of disbelief. Yes, sweetheart. Her silence echoed her trust in her father. The little girl's eyes widened and her mouth curved into a soft O as a result of this new piece of knowledge. Her father smiled softly, watching her gently swing forward. The tree showered a gust of white blossoms over her, which she welcomed with a delighted giggle. Flowers caressed her cheeks. A few rested on her lap, while some unfortunate ones were pushed to the ground by their jealous competitors. She never ran out of laughter. The sun hid behind the mountains as if sore at being forgotten. Slowly, darkening the sky. मछली जल की रानी है. The child latched onto a song, impromptu. As the sky grew pitch black, fireflies rose from amidst the bushes, as if to compensate for the absence of stars on the earth. They mocked the stars as they went about spreading light from their minuscule torches. The air grew heavy, the wind, unable to run around anymore, settled near the man's head and sang a lullaby for him, massaging his head gently with her old long fingers. His eyes gradually grew heavy and drooped. As he drifted off to sleep, he felt a weight on his chest and a pair of small arms around his neck. He inhaled slowly, taking in the sweet smell of his daughter, and wrapped his arms around her frail body. Her hair was getting into his mouth, but he cared the least. Their breaths gradually evened out, and he was soon oblivious to his surroundings, having surrendered his consciousness to the goddess of sleep. The moon threw its shine over the trees, the empty swing, and the house. The riverside shone, illuminating the banks where a little girl drowned 5 years ago on an Āṣāḍha evening, and her father, who was sleeping on the very shores his daughter had last kept her footsteps on, alone. Pardon my language, but holy fuck. Oh my goodness. Dude, what did we read? Whew. This. Wow. Wow. I really. I really don't know what to say, guys. Take a bow. Absolutely. Bhadra, this was. Whew. I mean, I don't know, as Sneha mentioned, speechless. I really don't know what to say. The way Bhadra has built the story, the way you can see, even till the last but one paragraph, the second last paragraph, I was thinking that how beautifully she has, uh, elaborated yet subtly, but beautifully elaborated the love between a father and a daughter. And then the last paragraph came, and when the last paragraph came, this line, the moon threw its shine over the trees. For some reason, I was like, dude, is something coming? Is something coming? Exactly that last para, that one line. Is something coming? Is something coming to punch me? And the riverside shone, illuminating the banks where a little girl drowned 5 years ago on an Āṣāḍha evening, and her father, who was sleeping on the very shores his daughter had kept her last footsteps on, alone. Oh my goodness. Whew. Now, This is supernatural. This is supernatural. Oh my goodness. Bhadra, first of all, hats off. I don't know what to say. First of all, I would also like to say another thing that, guys, I think this is the example of how you don't have to use humongous words, tongue twisting words, and still be good at a language. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This line on Āṣāḍha evening and father sleeping on the shore is. Yeah, exactly. 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 Oh, Anusha is here. Hello, Anusha. Thank you for joining. I think Anusha missed this. Anusha, you missed the story. Oh my goodness. You have missed this tale, Anusha. You real guys, should we read it again? Should we read it again? Should we read it again? It's totally up to you guys. Yes, right? Anusha, bro, you are in for a treat. So first of all, let me. So Bhadra, wait, Bhadra, are you asleep?
No,
You're not.
I'm
Okay.
blushing after hearing all this.
Okay. Just wait for a few more moments, guy, bro. We'll read it again because this is freaking bomb. This is how. Oh my! I don't think I would be able to, encapsulate what you have written. Guys. Guys. Yeah, guys. It's okay. It's okay. That is subjective. That scoring and everything is subjective, guys. Let's not talk about that. But the thing is that let's enjoy the tale again. Okay. Anusha, meanwhile, has not. I hope she has not read anything. Oh my god, I forgot. I hope she has not read anything. Anusha, you didn't read anything, right? Because I forgot to scroll up because I really hope she has not read anything. I forgot. Oh my god, she just read the ending. Oh my goodness. Okay, never mind. We are reading it again. We are reading it again. We are reading it again. No problem. No problem. We are reading it again. No, it's my fault. It's my fault. I should have scrolled up as soon as she joined. Okay, guys, we are reading it again. An Ashara evening by Bhadra. It was the month of Ashara, and the evening was unlike the other evenings. There was no difference that was noticeable at first sight. The sun was casting his gleam over the river, which shimmered shyly. The wind gently blew, carrying and distributing the scent of freshly bloomed flowers, weaving in and out of the trees. The blue sky and the heavens above were reflected clearly by the crystal water. But something that constituted the major chunk of evenings was amiss. Maybe the man thought, raising his head a little bit from the floor, glancing at his surroundings. It was the lack of activity. Normally, the evenings were full of life, birds flocking noisily to their nests, calling out to each other, women shouting at their children to return home after tiring themselves on the ground, motorboats revving up, the sound of fishermen on the river. Amidst all this chaos, there existed a certain calmness that enveloped the wooden house by the river, which never allowed the man to spend his days elsewhere. Baba, the little girl called, breaking the spell and his train of thought. She was sitting on a swing on her favorite tree, dangling her tiny feet down. Who lives there? She pointed at the mountains that lined the other bank of the river, behind which the sun was rapidly sinking. The sun, of course, he replied confidently. The sun! A pinch of disbelief. Yes, sweetheart. Her silence echoed her trust in her father. The little girl's eyes widened and her mouth curved into a soft O as a result of this new piece of knowledge. Her father smiled softly, watching her gently swing forward. The tree showered a gust of white blossoms over her, which she welcomed with a delighted giggle. Flowers caressed her cheeks. A few rested on her lap, while some unfortunate ones were pushed to the ground by their jealous competitors. She never ran out of laughter. The sun hid behind the mountains as if sore at being forgotten, slowly darkening the sky. मछली जल की रानी है. The child latched onto a song, impromptu. As the sky grew pitch black, fireflies rose from amidst the bushes, as if to compensate for the absence of stars on the earth. They mocked the stars as they went about spreading light from their minuscule torches. The air grew heavy. The wind, unable to run around anymore, settled near the man's head and sang a lullaby for him, massaging his head gently with her old long fingers. His eyes gradually grew heavy and drooped. As he drifted off to sleep, he felt a weight on his chest and a pair of small arms around his neck. He inhaled slowly, taking in the sweet smell of his daughter, and wrapped his arms around her frail body. Her hair was getting into his mouth, but he cared the least. Their breaths gradually evened out, and he was soon oblivious to his surroundings, having surrendered his consciousness to the goddess of sleep. The moon, the moon threw its shine over the trees, the empty swing, and the house. The riverside shone, illuminating the bank where a little girl drowned 5 years ago on an Āṣāḍha evening, and her father was sleeping on the very shores his daughter had last kept her footsteps on, alone. Whew. I don't know what to say. I think this was right. I have to show the picture as well. So, Anusha, uh, Bhadra sort of forgot to attach the picture with her entry, but the picture is this. Given that you have seen Ghibli movies, I expect you to know the scene or the characters from, right? Although she imagined them as father and daughter, it is totally fine. Bhadra touched the heights of a absolutely, absolutely. This, guys, we need to talk about this. We actually need to talk about this piece in Writers Cafe or in the lounge. I think the lounge would be a good place. This is amazing. This was this was too good. Before moving on to Bhadra, because I want to know how she, imagined the whole thing. Anusha is saying just a din. Okay, I hope you liked it nevertheless. Uh, Anusha is saying, love how the scene was. Exactly. It seems like, father and daughter are just having an afternoon nap and it has extended to the evening. But yeah, then comes the punch from the darkness. But Swan has rightly said that Bhadra touched the heights of a pervert with this piece. Absolutely. Himanshu has showered with hearts. Sneha is saying the first two para gave me the feel it would be sad, but the way she wrote it, absolutely. Couldn't find sadness in the whole piece until the last paragraph. Absolutely. Anusha is saying this is so heartbreakingly beautiful despite the spoiler. Yeah, I sort of missed scrolling up. I'm really sorry. Bhadra has showered us with love and said to all you wonderful people, no, you are the wonderful one. Thank you for writing something like this. Thank you for envisioning something like this, and thank you for joining the society long back so that we could read it. Yeah, butterfly effect is beautiful. The way she sets the stage is mind blowing. Absolutely, Himanshu. I totally agree with you. जब वो लास्ट पैराग्राफ आता है ना कि the moon has come up, the moon has crawled up the sky, and the other bank of the river is shined is it's bathed by the moonlight, bathed under the moonlight, and then you realize, wait, is something happening? Sneha said, totally true. Damn, stop it, guys. No, Bhadra, no modesty, at least for this moment, where it's about feel of smell of daughter or yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Himanshu, after reading this, then you realize the smell of Dorbusko. He remembered the essence of his daughter. That makes it sadder, right? You built it brick by brick, you cannot escape, but absolutely. The twist, absolutely. Sneha is saying you wrote so beautifully the description of nature just after it. Absolutely, absolutely. Berlin is saying the way the scene was set like such a sweet evening, a normal and sweet chat between father and daughter. How it felt so natural, so real, so beautiful, so pure. I totally agree to that. I second you, Berlin. And the fact that, by the end of the story, we get to know that maybe this is not so natural. Yet it doesn't take away from the beauty of the story. I think that is the genius of this writer. Nevertheless, Bhadra, time to turn on your mic, girl, and please elaborate. We just want to hear you. I don't think we have anything to discuss because, I think invoking our ideas into it would only disrespect it. We don't have to tear it down line by line because it is simple enough, right? The mention of silent evening, yes. जब वो उठ के देखता है आसपास की why is it so silent, right? It seems like he's looking for her, and then he sees her on the swing. Yeah, Himanshu, that is a great observation. That's a great observation. Bhadra dear, turn your mic on. Elaborate on the whole process. What motivated you? And please talk about it.
Bro, first of all, you guys are so sweet, you know. I was just screaming and blushing all this while, and still am. You all. Swan by Berlin, Octopus, and then Himanshu, Balaji, Anusha. Did I? Okay, I left you. Yes, you. And did I leave anyone out? No, right. You all are so. Like, you guys are so supportive, you know? Ah, yes, Nehati. Yes, yes, sorry, I forgot. I mean, yeah, your name just didn't come at the right time. So, yes, thank you so much, you people, for supporting and all. And Satyakita for reading it so in a nice, beautiful way. So, okay. Actually, I did not have any idea about what to write on. Okay, so there were a lot of those photos, and each of them looked like. They could contain a story, but no plot, nothing came to my mind. And my exams were, semi exams were going on, and I was busy behind that. So until the last 3 4 days, I had no idea what I was going to do. I completely forgot about the event. And then a reminder came in the group, and that was when I was reminded of it. And then I had no idea where to begin. I was just thinking like I didn't even have a vague idea until one day before the submission date. I was in my tuition. I was doing something. Yeah, some maths problem it was. I was doing it, and sort of this plot, a vague one came to my mind. But then I forgot it as soon as I came home. Like I forgot about writing the story. I was preoccupied about my exams, and I forgot everything until uh, the last day, until late at night, the last day. I completely forgot. So when it was 10 at night, someone was messaging on that group about their submission and all, and that was when I was thinking, oh my god, I have a vague plot there. I have to make it a story and send it there. Then I was like, when I started writing it, I don't usually type it directly in my phone or in my computer. I write it down, I script it down, and then after I type it. So when I started scribbling, words sort of came, and it was easy once I started. I had the idea, and the last line I had no idea how to include it there so that that punch would come. So it was a bit of a challenge, and then I did it. So I submitted it just 1 minute before the form closed. I know this is bad, this is something that I should not have done, but then, yeah, it's my mistake. I forgot about it. And the next day, I read the whole story, and actually, I felt so embarrassed to have sent such a thing there. I saw that some of the lines could a bit more refined or something, and I made a few edits here and there, two to three lines, and sent it to one of my friends. So she was my strongest supporter since the day she found out I write. She isn't my best friend or something. We just talk to each other. We are friendly, but then at the same time, there's this thing girls share. They can be friends with each other, or they can be each other's biggest supporters, just like that. So I sent her this, and she felt a she sent a heartfelt reply on that, and she quoted some lines, and yeah, it was really good. So I was on cloud nine literally after reading her review. Then I sent it to Nachikeet, and I forgot about it. A load of days later, was going through my some of my saved documents and all, and I found this story. Then I couldn't even remember when I wrote it. I thought that someone else had written it, and then something felt similar. After reading, I was like, oh my god, this is the story I wrote for something. And I don't remember whether I sent it to that writer's cafe, but I sent to Octopus. Docty, Octi told me it is good, and he he said a lot of positive things, and that was it. So this was the process behind it. How I wrote, and it's a last minute thing, just like most of my things are. Last minute adjustment or something.
When you listen to something like this that Bhadra mentioned, that the whole behind the scenes of the story, you realize what kind of work goes behind each piece that is, shared and submitted. And that sort of uh, reminds us that, people who share their work in the Writers' Cafe or in the events when they participate, so much hope, so much hard work, so much ideation goes into it. So it doesn't matter that, if you are a winner or if you are a special mention or if you are just a participant. Doesn't matter. It does not matter because I feel the kind of work that you guys are submitting, right? We started with Anusha's piece, which was amazing. Then we moved on to some other pieces, right? We moved on to Vignesh's piece and then Parshvi's piece, and today it is Bhadra, right? So that sort of shows that how beautiful people we have amongst ourselves, right? How talented they are and how creative they are, right? So keep I and there are many people who have not probably participated in this particular event. I mean, I know Himanshu writes well, I know Okti writes well, I know Sneha writes well, Swan writes well, Berlin writes well, Shadow writes well, right? So I mean, I know that some of you, I think Sneha has participated in this event. I know Swan has participated in this event, but of course, Shadow and Okti and Berlin could not, given that they are the member of the council, right? But the point is that you guys are amazing, and Bhadra's piece only reminds us, why is it important to read stories, to love fiction, and to explore whatever is natural and supernatural. And I think this is the kind of ghost stories that this is the kind of ghost story that people like Sneha or Shreya, for that matter, they will love because here, as I mentioned, I mean, this father is sleeping peacefully, knowing that his little girl, no matter if she's organic or ethereal, she's there with him. And what more does a father want than to be near his daughter? This is not a ghost story, but the ghost is a part of the story. Like the ghost is an element of the story, right? So that is it. Okay, so let's see what the chat box has got for us. Um, okay, right. Uh, this is how villains are made. I think that is when she was. Okay, wait. Before that, I think, yeah. So Himanshu has said that earlier the mention of Silent Evening, and after reading again, it is made to the final para. Right, right, right. Absolutely. Sneha has said, and the shift from the present to the past and again back. From the past to the present, so beautifully. It is not easy at all. You just own it. Right, right. The description of nature showed the sadness so beautifully. Yeah, see, that is why it is necessary to elaborate the surroundings. It is very important. And you aced it, Bhadra. Berlin is saying, oh, cutie. I think she's talking about Bhadra. We all know Bhadra is a Pookie. Swan said Snehaji. Okay. Again, this is how villains are made. And Sneha is saying, मेरे को सब भूल जाते हैं मैं गायब हुई तो याद ना 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 ऐसा नहीं है you are a key member of the society, you are one of the most important members of the society. Berlin has given a skull. Shrikar is saying, hey, Bhadra, you are wonderful. Do make more of these. Right, right. He has typed each sentence with each one of his tentacles. Sneha is saying, true shadow. And Swan is saying, hey, मैं याद रखता हूँ. Okay. So there is some banter. And then Swan is saying, octopus is so different than Octi. Octi is cool, chill guy. Octopus is stressed. ऑक्टोपस इज तीन बच्चों का बाप जिसमें से जो बड़ा बच्चा है वो अभी भटक रहा है राह भटक रहा है बिगड़ रहा है उसको अभी आईफोन चाहिए Uh, कहीं से ये सब है. So yeah, okay. You guys are being you guys in the chat box. So yeah, I guess we all can agree that this was indeed a beautiful piece. Bhadra has woven the story out of a magical fabric. I don't know how she did it, but it was indeed amazing. Would anybody like to add anything to it? Because I don't think we can add anything new or, tear apart any of the lines to know any hidden meaning because there is no hidden meaning. It is pretty self explanatory, it is pretty straightforward, yet it is up there. Okay, so I guess we can end this phase of the reading session happily, knowing that
Satyaki,
all.
can I just
Yeah, but,
add on something?
yeah, but please go ahead.
Yes, while you were reading this aloud, I was reminded of a story of Tagore I read way back. The way you were reading it, so in that tone, so I was reminded of that story. Can you please tell it now? Do you have time?
Which story, brother?
Koka Babu.
Khoka Babu. Okay, okay.
Huh.
I okay. So I think okay. I'm not sure if I remember it like thoroughly, but I can read it and share it in the next session. Would that be okay?
I mean, I was asking
Yeah.
whether I can say it now.
Oh, you want to read it now?
Ah, yes.
Okay, sure, sure, sure. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, the book, the story I read a Malayalam translation of it. I was a small kid when I read that, so my
Okay,
grasp in English wasn't that good. So I will
okay.
just tell this. So,
Absolutely. Please, please, please.
yeah. So Ramcharan was a servant in the house of Babus, and I forgot their name, that their family's name, and he was a servant in their house. He was the when he joined there when he was a boy, and his master had a baby boy back then. So I forgot that baby's name, but Ramcharan was so attracted to that boy. I mean, he was so attached to that boy. He used to carry this boy with him all the time. He used to play with him, and slowly that boy grew. He grew up. He started getting down from Ramcharan's shoulder. He started crossing the threshold of the house. He started going to school, to college, and then he became a lawyer or a magistrate, which one I forgot. I think a lawyer. And he had a boy. He had a marriage. I mean, he married, and after a long time, he had a boy. By that time, Ramcharan was quite old, and with this boy, Khokha Babu, Ramcharan was quite attached with this boy, and the child too was attached with Ramcharan. He used to say that Khokha Babu would grow up to be a clever boy or a lawyer. That was because he was so intelligent. He was not to be fooled with silly games that to play with children. He won't be fooled by all those. And another thing was that he was adamant. Once he became adamant for something, it was impossible to get his attention to something else. And then he used to call everyone else by their name and used to call Ramcharan as Channa. That was something that always amused him. He loved to play with him. He loved to play horses and cards with him, and they were a quite friendly jodi. So they were always attached to each other. They were always happy in each other's company. And even though his mother had some qualms about the baby being more attached to the servant than her, it was not much of an issue. And then one day, in the rainy month, he took this baby boy out for his daily evening walk. The river, I forgot which river it was. It was, okay, I forgot the name of the river. The streets were full of water. Downpour was intense, and the river was overflowing its banks. The child was adamant about his work, and then Ramcharan put him on his stroller covered with that silk cloth and strolled him out. As he was going, the child saw a lone tree by the river. He wanted its flowers. Flower, flower, he said, pointing to that tree. And Ramcharan knew that once the child set his eyes on something, he could not be made to pay his attention to something else. But then, he, even though he knew that, he tried to distract the child. He tried to show the child the birds or something else and tried to run by pushing the stroller as fast as he could. But the child was not letting go of those flowers that easily. After all, this clever child was going to grow up to be a lawyer. So Ramcharan resigned. He parked the stroller and told the child not to even look to the direction of water, and he went on to climb the tree. The child was intrigued as soon as he heard the word water. By the time Ramcharan returned, huddling in rain, carrying all those flowers, the child was nowhere to be seen. The stroller was empty, and so were the streets. Khokha Babu, he cried, but nothing, no one listened. No one replied back to him. He thought that the child would be hiding somewhere else and and would come running back to him, calling Channa. But then no one was there. The river was flowing just like before. Drenched and heartbroken, Ramcharan returned to the house late in the evening. Family was worried by then. The mistress ran to him. He fell to her feet and cried, "Forgive me, mother." Even though Ramcharan detailed his story, people were still suspicious. They thought, why, why would the man do such a thing? The child had got ornaments all over his body. Why wouldn't he just do something to the child and steal them? They all had this doubt, which made Ramcharan abandon the house and go to his secluded village. When he went there, he had Ramcharan was married by then, and miraculously, after a few months of him going there, his wife, who was old, got pregnant. She died in childbirth, and Ramcharan was left alone with a baby boy. As time passed, the baby began to grow up like how Khokha Babu was. He was very smart. He too was adamant about certain things. He could not be fooled by anyone else by childish playing childish games with him. He too used to call Ramcharan Channa, and he was the exact replica of Khokha Babu, so that Ramcharan believed Seeing his grief, his baby, his master, had taken birth in his home, and he, using all his money, brought him up just like how Koka Babu was. But then this boy's friends, they would make fun of him. They would ask him, why is your father treating you like he is your servant or you are his master? They would make fun of his silk attires and caps. And Ramcharan, he was so much attached to his child, and so that he used to think that it was Koka Babu who reincarnated in his house. After a long time, a thought began to bother him. He was reminded of the matter in his old house, the house of his masters, who was still lamenting the loss of her child. He thought that he stole that baby from their home. He thought it would be a crime to enjoy having a child, or in this case, Kokha Babu in this house. At the same time, his parents, his family is grieving and longing for him. And one day, Ramcharan took the boy to his master's house. When he was going there, the lady of the house, she was taking blessings from a saint, a sannyasi, for the birth of another boy. Since the death of this child, no other baby was born there. Seeing Ramcharan, she was not so pleased. He told them, I have to confess something. I It was me who stole your baby. It was not the river, it was me. Hearing it, people were shocked. Why did you do that? His master asked. I really have no idea. Ramcharan broke down. The lady, she hugged Ramcharan's son. They all were so happy to have found their son, but at the same time they were confused why Ramcharan would do that and why would he confess to doing that after a long time. His son spoke up. I thought he was my father, but he never acted like one. I really have no idea why he would separate me from my family, would raise me up in a really good manner, and then one day return me back to my family. You can stay here if you want to. You can continue working, the master offered. But Ramcharan refused, and he went away. Pay him a good amount of money. He spent quite a fortune to raise me, the son told. Every month since then, that house would send a money order to to Ram Charan's address. But then every month that money order returned saying that the addressee was not found. So this is that story, and I don't know whether there might be any mistakes that might have been there either in translation or I said it from my memory after 3 years or something of reading it for the last time. So there, if there are any mistakes, please pardon me. I was reminded of this, the child drowning in the river and all when Satyaki was reading my piece aloud. So yeah, this is it.
Thank you very much, Bhadra, for narrating this beautiful story written by Tagore, right? And Rabindranath Tagore, or Tagore as he is known, but it is Rabindranath Tagore. So I'm pretty sure we all know who he is, right? The short stories and the novels written by Rabindranath Tagore are actually hailed as masterpieces not only in Bengali literature but on the dais of world. So you must have heard of Kabuliwala, right? Or if you guys are movie aficionados, you might have heard of Chokher Bali, right? So whether it is Kabuliwala or Chokher Bali, The Postman or Monihara, each short story actually deals with the complexities of emotion and emotional relationships as well. So no one, according to many scholars, and to some extent me, I'm not a scholar, but still, no one could understand the pathos of common man better than Tagore. One person could, according to me. His name is Bibhuti Bhushan Bandyopadhyay. We will definitely bring him in the reading session. I mean, his work, of course. But yeah, Tagore is up there with Mr. Bandyopadhyay in understanding the pathos of a common man. Okay, and Bhadra eloquently told the whole story. And although this, this is the main character, Raicharan, as Bhadra mentioned. So I guess it is very much implied that, when the money order was sent to his home at the end, and it came back because there's no sign of Raicharan, it sort of tells us that after giving his son to his master, he probably never, you know, he lost his zeal to live, or probably, he didn't, he ended his life. That is what, I feel. Like when I had read this book last time, that is what I concluded. And Bhadra sort of reminded us of the same river. I don't know. I think it is not implied ever. It is never implied what happened. But yeah. So that is some sort of, this story actually tells about the loyalty of a master and loyalty of a servant towards his master. And by the way, it's not like his master was a bad person. It was not like he was, beating him, or he had enslaved him or something. No, his father was a zamindar and Raicharan was his servant. That's all. Having said that, it's 11:30, right? So we can uh, probably, for tonight, I guess we can end it because the mood is very much set for the story that. No, I'm not. Uh, I'm not stopped the recording as of yet. So the mood that was set up by Bhadra's story was very emotional, very soft, very fragile. So I guess it would be, it would be unfair to Stephen King if we try to bring his story to it. So I guess we can read Salem's Lot in the next session. We can resume where we left in the last one. Okay. But what the magic that Bhadra had created tonight, I think we should go to our beds with a small part of that magic tucked in our pockets. Okay. So having said that, let me end the session, guys. Okay. There's no part two of this session tonight. We are not reading Salem's Lot. Uh, Thank you, Bhadra, for creating this environment for us. Your story that you had penned and recalling Rabindranath Tagore's timeless Koka Babu. It was a treat. Okay, so let me turn the recording off.